Today I'll be speaking about the growth of Jahia at Abercrombie Fitch and really how it's evolved over the last 7 and now actually almost 8 years. But before I begin, just for those of you not familiar with the company, a little background. So Abercrombie Fitch is a leading specialty retailer who produces high quality apparel and really consists of 4 iconic brands. The first of which, our company namesake, Abercrombie Fitch, really geared towards casual luxury and towards the collegiate level demographic. Abercrombie and Kids is the sibling, you could say, of the younger sibling aspiring to be like their older brother, Abercrombie Fitch, and really geared towards kids. Gilly Hicks. Gilly Hicks is the female intimates apparel, inspired by Sydney, Australia style. And finally, Hollister is really inspired by the Southern California laid-back vibe that really is present in a lot of the clothing. So it's really the international appeal of these brands that have built a highly profitable and successful business for us, and really the international expansion over the last 7 years as well. So as opposed to going through a list of all the countries we're in, I figured in Abercrombie style, kind of give you a short video of really all the countries we're in today. Definitely a lot more interesting than me going through a bulleted list of countries. So I figured that would at least get you a little more excited than me speaking. So skipping over. So as you probably noticed in the video, today we have about a little over 1,000 stores in 20 countries. And today we continue that international expansion focus. And really our mid to long-term objectives for the foreseeable future is really focusing on Asia, where we anticipate at least a potential of 100 plus stores. Bundle that in with some of the DTC or direct-to-consumer e-commerce channel, international opportunities and enhancements, and some of the franchising opportunities around some of the countries you see right there: Mexico, Russia, Brazil. This is all new territory that we're entering today. All our stores are owned by us. And just recently we opened our first joint venture in the Middle East, in Dubai. That's been working very well and actually quite successful. It's actually our most successful Hollister store to date. Also, in terms of focusing on international, we're not forgetting about our US stores, and we continue to look at opportunities to optimize productivity there. So you're probably wondering how all this kind of fits into my talk about Jahia and the growth at Abercrombie and Fitch. And really to understand, to really paint that picture, we have to start from the beginning, where what I like to call pre-Jahia. So in April 2006, which seems really, really long ago now that I think of it, I first started at Abercrombie & Fitch as a consultant, and this is really the state of affairs at the time. I was brought on to help establish and assess an enterprise portal. At the time, the home office intranet, we referred to our corporate office as the home office, really was just a collection of static HTML pages running on a mainframe, actually. And the store associate intranet, just a custom developed Lotus Notes, Lotus Domino web app, not really maintained, not really that user-friendly, and not a lot of features and functionality. And at the time, there was no real vendor portal. Vendor portal was really us giving a list of URLs to our vendors to access applications and then providing them one shared account across all their users. So at the time, our chief technology officer was really driving to get an enterprise portal strategy, get an enterprise portal established for the company. And these are some of the objectives that he looked at. Obviously, some of the real common ones around document, user-managed content, the real typical ones. The one I really want to focus on is the international language capable one, the bottom. At the time, we had no idea we were going to be expanding to all these countries. Really, in 2006, the only international country we really had was Canada, and to me, that doesn't really count. Just kidding. They're neighbors. So, but in all seriousness, the international expansion was really just a thought in someone's mind. I think the only thing that we were considering was really the UK. So be it foresight or be it foreshadowing that our VP asked for this feature, it eventually came to fruition several years from this point. So we looked at several enterprise portals. Now our chief technology officer actually came from IBM. So some of the more heavyweight portal products we looked at were IBM portal, Oracle's portal, and some open source technology offerings such as JRoller and some offering from JBoss as well. But really, at the end of the day, we decided to go with Jahia, and a lot of the reasons listed here, in terms of easy administration and speed to market. Really, the way we tested that was, my boss was able to download Jahia, install it on his computer, get it up and running. Within about 20 minutes, he had a user site that he could manage content on, and really, that's not really true of any of those other products out there. That and the fact that we didn't need a full-time administrator or a team of really admins to maintain an Oracle portal or an IBM portal. Competitively priced, obviously that speaks for itself. And the main thing was that the underlying technologies really matched up with our technology stack. And so we knew the solution was going to be scalable, and it was something that we could grow with and extend in the future. In terms of proven international capability, I think that was pretty obvious out of the box with all the features. And it was quite apparent that there was a international focus to the product, because one of the first things I noticed was in the Jahia workflow publication, English had a British flag as opposed to a US flag. So we knew right then and there that this was a little bit more international focused. And the funny thing is, a couple of years from there, afterwards when we actually went into the UK, someone asked me if we had purposely purchased the product in preparation for England, and I kind of said yes, and then moved on from there. So the first implementation, after we decided to, and some of the fonts are going to be a little off. I guess they didn't convert and translate completely over, but you should be able to get the main idea. But our first implementation really was, after we did the assessment, several months after that, we launched our home office intranet phase 1. And the big thing was that we were able to get the content out there for the business users to manage. We even went to the lengths of hiring a user experience expert. He actually had a PhD in cognitive psychology, and he helped us reorganize our content and establish a lot of usability guidelines that we use up until today. A lot of things that are quite obvious when you hear them, but when someone tells it to you, you just have the aha moment. And again, we integrated with our LDAP for authentication authorization when we enabled web analytics to get an idea of how successful the site really was. I don't know if you can see the little Easter egg back there. My head popped up there, but that was really someone took a screen capture, and after a year of implementing this, I actually joined on full-time with Abercrombie, and as a welcome cake, they took a snapshot, superimposed my head on one of the models, and then it was celebrated like that. So I still had the screenshot of that, and I just kind of hid it back there, so it's not really apparent because our executive IT folks actually review these slides, so they obviously missed it. So phase 2, flash forward 2 years into the future. I mean, we had some additional virtual sites that we added, but really this was the big turning point. So in August 2008, we did a kind of a complete redesign, and really what prompted this was that internally there's a company directive to refresh, reinvigorate our brands, and so we went about, the marketing team actually redesigned our logo, redesigned the color, look, and feels for the brands, and they thought that the intranet would be a great vehicle for not only communicating what those changes were across the enterprise, but also serving as a visual representation of what they wanted things to look like. And typically, there's not a lot of focus taken on internal applications. It's usually public-facing applications or store-facing applications. So this is the first time that we actually aligned with them and spent a lot of time just really get the presentation, the layout where we wanted to. And then we took the 2 years of experience, from user feedback that we received, web analytics, and we incorporated it into this. And it resulted in us getting, more personalization of the homepage, adding a recently updated content, on one of those sides. It's really self-apparent stuff, but things that we were iteratively going through and learning. And as a result, it was a huge success. Since then, there was a big demand from business users across the enterprise asking for us to add their content to the intranet, because when they announced this at one of our annual meetings, when they launched this and they mentioned the reinvigoration of the brands, this is one of the things that they demonstrated. And so then really everyone saw this and really was getting on board, saying, hey, we want to get on here. And really that was really the start. I think you saw, to me it was a game changer, because at the time this was going on in parallel, there's a momentum starting to pick up pretty quickly on our international expansion. So as a result of this and as a result of our international expansion, the two timing just ended up being perfect. And as you'll see the next couple of slides, demand automatically just started coming. People started really asking for us them IT users and business users approaching us to implement new sites as opposed to us going out there and really socializing or marketing it ourselves. So one of the first 2 months actually after we implemented the phase 2 of our intranet, there was a demand to say, hey, we want to get content out on the external site. We want to build an extranet. which is what Eli referred to when I actually went out to download some of the fonts, is, people wanted to get access to some important information on the go. Some of our security folks around campus wanted the opportunity to post campus closure alerts, and because of snow or weather or other security concerns. And one of the big things was we were starting to grow our stores internationally, and they wanted to be able to post orientation information for some of our new international recruits, and even starting to get information out to a lot of our US folks. So a lot of things right now at this time, or a lot of things are happening in parallel. We see a huge jump in the demand, because in parallel we have a lot of this international expansion. As a result, it's impacting a lot of the different areas of business. So one of the areas we see is really with more stores, our portal, there is a demand for a vendor portal, because our list of vendors just continues to increase. And so after the intranet phase 2 launch, they approached us, and we actually were able to leverage what we had built for the intranet in terms of template, layout, and guidelines, and really get something up and running pretty quick for them. It was 2 months after we launched phase 2, we launched our extranet, and 2 months later we launched our vendor portal. And this is the first time we actually leveraged our identity access management suite from Novell, and tied into the hooks into Jahia. And since they had the same underlying LDAP implementation, it was really easy to get single sign-on across a lot of the applications that we had internally. So this is a huge win for us, and we were able to manage users and accounts and access control through Jahia for all of our different vendors. The other thing that occurred during this time was that we were replacing a lot of our systems. Because we were going international, a lot of our legacy systems didn't support internationalization. So our retail merchandising system that was running on the mainframe had to get ported to Oracle's retail management solution. We actually took our point of sale system, it was running on a legacy system. In order to go international, we actually also went to Oracle point of sale system. So we were in the process of signing a lot of contracts, giving Oracle lots of money. And as part of that licensing agreement, they actually offered up a lot of free application licenses for a short period of time, such as Oracle Portal. And one of the things that we talked about was also having to replace our store associate portal, store associate intranet, to support internationalization because of the requirement to have information in English and the local language. So really, for the same reasons as you saw before when we did the assessment of Jahia versus some of the products, we came to the same conclusion, and we actually went using Oracle and really stuck with Jahia. And we ended up implementing the store portal, leveraging the same technology, and really run our navigation and our document repository. And what we had learned with the extranet, we ended up doing a single sign-on implementation with this. And this application runs out of all of 1,000 of our stores, where managers will access this through the register and through the manager's workstation. So the same team that we worked with, our store operations team on the business side, came to us and said, hey, we've got all these systems out there. We're making a lot of our point of sale system is relatively new. We have requirements for each country that are different. We need to be able to provide help reference. Typically in the past, there would be a document they would send down the stores that you could print it out and put it into a binder. But now, they were, close to, I think, 8 or 9 countries at the time, and they realized it was hard to manage, and they needed a way to really communicate how to use our new point of sale system, not only for people who spoke English, but also for people who were locals and really needed the information in the local language. So they approached us because they had seen the ease of use of using Jahia for the store's associate intranet, and they asked if we could do something similar for the point of sale system. So we came up with basically a reference site that they manage in terms of documentation, training videos. It's available in both languages, local and in English, and today it's being used across pretty much all 5,000 of our registers, where people have a button they can click and it pulls up the site, and they have an opportunity to look up any of the help information they need. So not only were systems impacted, but because we were going at such a fast pace, I think at one point we opened 5 or 6 new countries. From a organizational standpoint, we had people going on research trips, people doing operational requirements, functional requirements, IT trying to manage products, and not only getting into new countries, but as we went in, as we opened the other countries up, we started learning new things after opening our first store there, things that we'd missed. And so they needed a way to track a lot of this information. They wanted one site where the business could not only post information about the research and operational requirements, but also give opportunity for local HR managers, local operations folks in these different countries to contribute as well. So as opposed to going towards, a Microsoft project or a shared drive, they really asked us if we could get a site similar set up as similar to the internet, but restrict access and really make it, separate from it. So essentially, we leverage the same templates, and within a matter of a day or two, we had the site up and running for them, and they were on their way, and they're pretty pleased with that. And today, it still hosts all our requirements, and as we make adjustments and ongoing, it's really where they go for the one source of the truth. So, the same theme. I'm sure you noticed a lot of our sites are themed very similar, and again, it's because once we did that phase 2, we really aligned ourselves with the marketing folks and really the look and feel, brand representation and how, brand appropriate and brand right things are pretty important to the company. So when they see something like the internet, they automatically have a template to really build on, not only from a business person's point of view, but also IT folks started to use that same look and feel in ongoing development projects, kind of as a reference to that. So the same group of HR folks that were involved with some of the other project sites, eventually realized that they have all this, employment rules differ from country to country. France is completely different than the US, and, same with the UK, and you name it, once you go to China and Hong Kong. And so there was a lot of knowledge sharing going around with HR managers. So they really, it was HR, it was sensitive, they really wanted their own intranet. And again, same thing, we were able to build that up. They had some more tech savvy people on their side, so they actually added widgets, like Statagram, some world clocks and things like that, and they really took it to a different level. But again, it utilizes a lot of the investment we put in from a usability standpoint, from a layout, from our work with branding or with marketing to brand the site and make it really aesthetically pleasing. So a lot of simple templates and a lot of things that they were just able to extend. And this theme continues. Just like we had our store associate intranet, our asset protection folks at some point had to manage a lot of their field agents who worked in stores as well. And we ended up using that to really build another intranet specific for asset management, and really more of a news style communication to their folks, and access to the tools, et cetera. A really good example of when we went into UAE for the first time, it was a joint venture, so really a partnership where our partner, MAF in Dubai, actually owned the majority share, and we formed a new entity. So as a result, we really wanted to restrict access to what they had access to or what they could see on our side, and really self-contain that. So as opposed to getting an FTP site or giving them access to shared drives, HR again just came to us, say, can you get something up and standing where we can restrict access just to the joint venture folks and collaborate with our partners in Dubai. And that was really the direction we went, and once we had it up and running, they managed it pretty well. So this one is pretty exciting. This one we're actually getting ready to pilot in February. And one of the things you notice in our store is our presentation. The presentation of the clothing, the presentation of the stores is pretty consistent and pretty immaculate across. We try to keep it very well defined. And today we print hundreds of pieces of paper down to the stores, full color pages, almost on a weekly basis, where they use that as a guide and they walk around the store, they make sure everything's set up. So what we're trying here in February is actually taking that document and a section of the document and actually making it electronic. And we have a new Jahia virtual site set up where our brand senses, our store operations folks can actually make updates and present this to the folks. And we put it on an iPad mini, and really the plan is to see how well it works in the store, put this pilot out there and see if it makes them more agile, the ability to give real-time updates, and really the presentation quality. Because you lose some of that on paper, whereas opposed you see it on a nice Retina display, everything is a lot clearer on how everything needs to get presented. So this is really our first foray into some of the mobile type applications, but we're taking a step at a time. So really some of the catalysts to the growth we've seen at Abercrombie & Fitch, some of them I've already touched upon. Establishing usability guidelines for the templates. What we learned initially, even though we changed the layouts and we changed how everything kind of flowed, the same usability concepts that we invested in when we brought our user experience expert in, really we kept to those, and it really helped us to guide our business partners when they asked for changes, or they tried to do things outside of what we considered a normal flow. So it was easier taking the advice from a recognized expert and explaining that to them, as opposed to IT just telling them, hey, this is the way we want to do it, and really giving the reasoning behind it. And the same thing was really with marketing, helping to govern the brand consistency or look and feel on the site. This is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, there's a lot more work you have to do with marketing in terms of making sure everything's just the way they want it. If it's pixel off, they want us to correct it. So there's a little bit more time we spend. They're very meticulous, but at the same time, by using them as really the body to govern how everything should look and feel, when we're working, especially on the corporate intranet, when we're working across multiple departments, everyone's got their own ideas of, having, like a running moose across the screen when things load, or, something crazy like that. It's really easy to tell them that this is really a marketing decision. You really need to go to them, and they really control how everything should look and feel. So it eases the burden on us, and it's really a partnership to ensure that we have that common brand consistency across a lot of our applications and what our associates see at the home office. Role-based access to layers of the editable content. What we learned is over time, we initially restricted folks to managing certain areas of content on the site. But the way we designed it, over time, a lot of those folks became power users. And so we started opening up, and they enjoyed the fact that they have a little more creativity. They had a little more flexibility, and even with our HR site, we eventually made one of their folks who was a little more tech savvy the administrator for the site. So again, reducing some of that burden and allowing them to really use the site the way that they'd like. Simple, clean layouts for a lot of templates. We have a small number of templates. I would say, probably less than 5, but the way we've designed them is they're very extendable. They're very simplistic, but giving them the ability to add to all sorts of content, but keeping the consistent look and feel was important to us. And then, a big thing, which is obviously a testament to how quickly we can get sites up and running for our business folks, was a real important thing. And then, obviously, from a content management perspective, very intuitive for the users to get up and running and really move with the application. So this is, what I did was I kind of charted out. We actually, in 2006, when we first launched our corporate intranet, we really only had 45 pages what we went live with. And that year, we went to 210, and then over the course of time, really it was a big jump that I mentioned. Once we went live with our phase 2 of the intranet, where we completely redesigned, we saw huge demand. That's where you see the jump from 2008. It was towards the end of 2008 we implemented that. And then really our international growth and expansion. Really, you can see how it's really grown over time and expanded. We went from 2 to today we have 13 virtual sites, and we're upwards of about 3,500 pages, and we continue to grow. So future initiatives, some of the things I think I touched on, the pilot we're doing today is really getting into the digital communication to our stores. There's still a lot of paper-based activity that stores do, a lot of things that are printed down to stores. You know, I think we spend probably close to over $1 million just in paper, toner costs, printer maintenance. So we're hoping that this pilot is, you know, the first stepping stone to get to a point where we can find that balance of how much we can deliver to them digitally and how much we can really continue to do paper-based printing. And again, mobile content delivery, this is kind of our first foray into that, but there's definitely a demand from our users, you know, like from extranet perspective or accessing information that's critical to them on their corporate mobile phones. But again, you know, I think overall we're still working through that and see what makes sense as opposed to trying to go through and really just mobilize the entire site. Store-to-store collaboration, this is as we grow more into the countries we're in, especially as we move into Asia and expand larger and we continue to grow some of our other countries that we're in. We're looking at, you know, our previous CIO kind of, I think it's a term, globalization, really globalization, but, you know, being really local to the country we're in. And we see an opportunity to really establish collaboration between the stores within the country. We started an evaluation of JahiaOne for a recruiting team, and now we're in talks with our stores team to see their interest in using that product for that opportunity. And as I mentioned, the franchising site, you know, we have a site for our joint venture. You know, we've already started discussing having a site set up for new countries that want to begin the franchising process with us. So overall, I mean, as you can see, you know, we've come a long way. And then, you know, Jahia, in terms of being a strong partner and a good product, really has evolved kind of with us as we've grown internationally and expanded and really aligned ourselves. And I think, you know, we continue to find opportunities, and it's worked well. I mean, you know, I think you saw the graph. It's really a testament to how well it's been received by the IT folks and how well it's been received by the business folks. So before I conclude, one is, you know, I invite you guys to come see our Paris flagship store. It's pretty cool. It's on the Champs-Élysées, and just to give you a little preview, I actually we have a flagship opening video just to give you a preview of that and to kind of finish it off. So really that concludes it. Are there any questions? If not, then you guys can get in touch with me if needed, if there's any follow-ups. Cool, thanks guys.